Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. And I think many of you know that this is just one of a larger series. And I do just love how all together we're looking at this holistic view of a child and the teens. And I loved how last week or last time, 2 weeks ago, Dr. Edith was saying, what does it mean to be a human? And then I think really let us drop the shoulds about education and drop into who are our kids? What does it mean to educate our children and really relax into that this whole world is full of learning opportunities? And I think my topic tonight on health, it's like that's very important because I know I have been really shaped as I've grown up about what health should be, or, um, I was really influenced by the mainstream medical system. And so I think there's a way where we're really learning. And some of us, we don't even really know what exactly is happening. And so as we can be present in the moment and really learn how to observe and let go of some of our what we have been taught, we can actually come up with some more accurate conclusions about what's really happening. And so tonight I am going to be talking about health in general and lay a bit of a foundation. And then I will get more specific with teens. And I think you can extrapolate some of this to younger children as well. So hopefully I want to make it very applicable to your family. Um, I know I at least was really impacted by Louis Pasteur and the germ theory. I think many of us who here, raise your hand, has heard about Louis Pasteur at some point in their life, a little bit, right? And so the big thing with Louis Pasteur that he really talked about was something along the lines of monomorphism. And that is where it's a thought that it's one microbe that impacts our body and then has one distinct impact. There's typically an invasion of our body. We express distinct symptoms that are correlated with that microbe. And then there's typically some kind of contagion involved with that. And so what happens, it's really important for us to really take in what that means when we're set up with that type of thinking, because it really sets in place this motion where we're focused on getting that outside of ourselves, right? And we're set up with things like vaccines, antibiotics, radiation, chemo, all these things that are really geared toward getting the outside of ourselves. And the beautiful thing is that, well, what also comes with that is a bit of fear, right? As we've seen in the last 3 years, we have fear, more staying away in isolation, so not as much connection. And we also have, there's not so much focus on what we ourselves can do. And so what I love about this alternative view is, there was many other scientists that went quite deep into other ways of thinking about health and illness. And one of which was Antoine Béchamp. And he really said that it's really about our terrain and what is happening within our body. And I would go so far to say, what is our attitude as well, right? And so when we look at that way, we can, for some, it might be overwhelming as far as putting that responsibility on ourselves. I see it as potential, and that there are so many beautiful things that we can do. And to me, I'm not even asking anybody to even blindly accept this. That's not where we're going, because I don't think any of us really know like the answer. I think that I want us to be detectives, like health detectives, and look at our lives. And when we're feeling healthy, when we have symptoms, and try to see this bigger lens of, okay, what is happening in this situation? What are things that have impacted me? And we can bring that wider lens to look at our children and when they're thriving and when they're not thriving. And so with with natural healing, what we're really looking at is we're looking at, when I say the terrain, I mean, there are key factors like pH, the pH of our system. It's the nutrition that we bring in. I like to see it as flooding our light, our being with light on the physical, mental, and spiritual plane. And so when we think about nutrition, right, we're bringing in that vital force food that is going to impact our literal life force. When we're bringing in friendships and relationships, are they feeding us or are they detracting from us? Our attitude, are we living in a state of continuous stress? And it's not even to say that that stress is bad. We're not trying to knock out all the symptoms. We're trying to say, why is that stress coming up? We're trying to get to that underlying root cause of what is happening, right? And so, but those are key factors to think about as opposed to this outside force coming in. And the interesting thing about contagion, which I find fascinating, is with the Spanish flu, which is supposedly one of the most contagious and dangerous times. They actually did some studies, the Rosenau studies, where they literally would have sick people exhibiting symptoms. They would cough on completely healthy people. They would take their blood from the sick people, put it into the healthy people. They would talk to them for an extended period of time, really deeply breathing on them. Not a single one got sick. Not a single one got sick. You know, and why I'm stressing this with our teens is I think a lot of our children right now are very scared. They're at a point in their life where they want connection more than anything. And because of the last 3 years, they're still a little hesitant sometimes, right, to be around others. And so this is this paradigm shift of if we can truly get that we have so much influence over our health versus being concerned about these outside entities, then we're very empowered. And I think what our teens need most right now is a sense of hope, a sense of purpose, and a sense of trust that this world is a beautiful place, that they have a healthy and a thriving future for their potential. And so that's why I think it's important. And then we're just going to dabble a little bit in this because we can get very scientific. There's tons of scientific research about contagion and just really not showing that we don't really see that in the material. But because this is just a little dip, I can switch more to just what does bring in healthy teens. And when I was thinking about that, I think the main things really are that they're very held and supported and feel loved. Like, I think more than anything, right, we want resiliency. We are not looking, the world is not perfect. The world is incredibly intense. And we want our children, we want to give them the trust that they can succeed in our world. And so I think how we do that is we are really fostering a relationship with them. And this ties so much into health because I think their mental well-being is paramount to, I mean, I know one young man that is local to my area, and he had a very serious accident when he was in, I believe, his late teens or early 20s, where he had to have his leg amputated. And he has gone on to become this Olympian champion with snowboarding. His family is super tight and close. They've homeschooled their children. They had a beautiful organic restaurant here locally that it was his homeschool project. But my point is, because of his strength, even something as strong as amputating his leg, he was able to go on and become this Olympian champion. And so I think we really need to tune into our kids because some of them are very, very stressed out. And I want to keep it very real because I know that some families are really struggling right now. And so as far as developing this long-term research relationship, I've seen where there is this grid, and it's like the sweet point of discipline versus leniency. And when they have parents that are really super disciplining all the time, not really budging, really having these very high expectations, the children tend to rebel. and it really, or retaliate, or just really brings up a lot of resentment. Where if the children are actually, on the other hand, if it's so free and lenient, the children don't really thrive in that environment either. And so the sweet spot is really meeting our children with empathy, like creating healthy and safe boundaries. But then when they are having a hard time with those boundaries, really meeting them with empathy and understanding that it is hard sometimes, right? And it's in knowing that it's the children's time, evolutionary, to question boundaries and to rub up against boundaries because they are developing their independence. And just in the same vein, it's the parents' time to set healthy boundaries and realize that their children don't know everything right now. And just through experience, I know that at the time when I was in the 12th grade, you feel very old and you feel very like you do sort of know the ways of the world. And the truth is our children can really still use our help and our input. And I think it's attempting to come at it from a place of respect and checking in, being a really good listener, and also asking questions versus coming at it in a place of shaming or guilting, and we also really have to keep our own nervous systems, I think, intact so that we can handle the normal personality shifts and moods that a teenager is going through, because that's just a normal part of their life. And so if we can sort of accept that that's a part of their life potentially, and really just be their biggest support system and find ways to connect with them, I think that's very paramount in their just emotional well-being. That's like the foundation, is our love, our respect, our own commitment to our own nervous system, so we can handle when they ebb and flow, when they get very angry at us, perhaps when they go through their moods. We can be that unflinching, strong person. And then when we can't, because we too are human, I want to keep this really, really real, then we can apologize, actually. And we can come to them and say, you know what, I'm sorry, I really messed up and my emotions got the best of me. But the main thing right now with our kids is this connection. And also knowing that outwardly, they might not appear that they want to connect. Another story, a very real story, is, we had children here that one child committed suicide. And I really felt very strongly for the kids in our community and knew we needed to have a teen group. And our teen group stayed together the entire past 3 years. We never stopped getting together, but we were new to one another. We didn't all know one another. It sort of organically happened. And I don't think all the teens, well, I know all the teens, none of them really wanted to come. They felt very awkward in the beginning, but we, the parents really nudged them to come. And I think there is a way where parents these days sort of question their place in the family and don't want to push too much. And just like Dr. Edith gave the permission to drop away all the shoulds on education, I want to give the permission or encourage to step in and find creative ways to be present and to collect your children. You know what I mean? And we're all working it out. Like, we don't know the perfect answer to that. Like, we're going to be grumpy, they're going to be grumpy, but it's this commitment it's this evolutionary, like, we're always evolving our relationship, and we're committed to developing our relationship. We're committed to our self-growth and their self-growth. It's a dance of, they're expanding, they need more freedom. Oh, they have too much freedom and something's sort of wonky, we're going to contract a bit. And so it's this alive and dynamic. It's not a black and white thing. It's like we're very present with where they're at. So I think, and we're also looking at ways to increase their mastery, because I think what's going to help them through these times and through life in general and through their ultimate health is their confidence level. And what is going to help their confidence level is their mastery of certain things. So we're checking in with their hobbies. We're checking in with their passions. We are just aware. We're watching them move through life and see what really lights them up. And then we are finding out ways to make that more present in their life. Like my son, I didn't really want a lot of video games in his life, especially when he was younger. He's 19 now, but I really invested heavily in, like, for us, it was Dungeons and Dragons, or it was really pretty expensive board games. And I know that it's not like I had copious funds lying around to do that, but to me, it was a priority to have him use his creativity in his mind versus getting locked into a video and a screen. And so when he was young, I didn't do television. I had tons of Legos. And even though I was very sort of, I don't know if you're familiar with Waldorf, they're pretty much, against plastic. But that was a place that I made an exception, and I got Legos. And he created so many amazing things. And so I was always looking for a way. He loved cooking. And so every Christmas, or for me, I celebrate Christmas, I would get him something dealing with cooking. So I was always trying to find little ways to foster what I saw that he was interested in. And now he has that mastery. He's 19 and he can cook a 5-course meal if he wants to. We're not going to always be able to be with our kids. They're going to go out in the world, and I want him, I've heard it once said, a joy level. I think you'll like this, Judy, but you check in with your joy barometer. And they can go into different actions throughout life and activities and be like, where's my joy barometer? Maybe all these kids are using drugs or drinking, and they can check in and say, you know what, I don't really feel like doing that, because they've experienced other things. And maybe sometimes they do try something, but they still can check in with their barometer and feel, how does that feel? So I think that's what we're trying to develop with our kids, is this healthy self-reflection of how they're feeling, if they're feeling good, if they're feeling calm. And we can bring that out and sort of, because sometimes they might not notice that. And we can sort of say, I was reading, just like studying up on things with kids, and it was like, we can say, hey, I really appreciated how you handled that situation. You worked really hard to make it on the soccer team, and you did not make it. And I know you felt that, and I appreciate how you came through that. We can self-reflect back to them. We can say, okay, you're going to this party. It's going to probably be, for my son, before he really got into video games, there would be a birthday party that they would always play video games. And it was just this one-off, like once a year, twice a year, where they would play video games. And we went over, maybe make sure you have enough water, make sure you have enough food. And so he would come home and he would say, Mom, I drank water, or Mom, I played a game, and then I broke off and I played a card game, and then I went back and I played another game. And so we're helping our kids self-regulate, really, and we're giving them tools. And as we model our humanity with our, when we might go off the edge a little bit and then come back to center, when we take our deep breaths, when we make it real in our life, we do model that for them. I think it goes a long way with their overall health to check in with who their friends are. And like, I want to love up all the kids, like, I don't want to judge children that are having a hard time, but I also want to make my house a safe place to come. Like, I once read, if you have your fridge stocked with food, especially maybe for boys, you always have the snacks, like, you develop the house that kids want to come to. So my son is 19. His friends still come over every Friday, and they have their time, and it's like completely non-alcoholic, and it's just, they're hanging out, having fun. You know what I mean? And I really am grateful for hearing that part about the stocked fridge, because I think a boy's stomach, you go a long way with that. So there are little tools that, like, we can just get in their space a little bit, that they know that we love them. So that sort of is the mental health. I think exercise is really important, especially, I think, again, for boys, but also for young women, that they can feel good. Maybe it's a walk. Maybe somebody doesn't want to work out, but maybe they're not into sports, but they're getting out. Like, a dear friend on this, they live right by the ocean. Maybe they go on a walk to the ocean, maybe, but they're getting that nature, because I feel nature has the capacity to hold a teen's energy, and it's an expansive quality that builds a spirit in a very open, non-judgmental way. and they can feel that, right? The other night, my son and his friends went on a walk in the rain, and so I think that's just very enlivening. And that really brings, I think, also not being scared to nudge your kids sometimes into like something that has a deeper element to it. Um, it can even be a campfire sometimes, and you're singing songs around a campfire. And then that can become a more intimate sharing. But our kids, they're very good at detecting falsehoods, I think, and BS and pretentiousness. And I think they're really craving this truth and depth in their lives. And I think it can be for parents, we don't want to push the envelope too much, but sometimes we can push the envelope, maybe a camping trip, and maybe we can go with other families. But we can find ways to bring depth and give them that way to share deeply with their friends, I think, or even some of the events that, Judy, you've done a wonderful way, Bev and Deb, of creating. We had this amazing event in Southern California that had a depth to it, right? And kids, that builds their solidity in their spine where they can go out into the world because they feel that reinforcement. So I think that really, then like the other stuff is very important. I'll get into nutrition and remedies. I mean, I'm a herbalist. I've helped people with a wide variety of serious illnesses, but really, if they have that spine, they're going to always say they go for the junk food, they're going to come back to center. So that's like beyond anything else, I think that's the most important thing. Then we start looking at, does anybody have any questions at this point? Is this seeming pretty grounded, or do you think, is this not really grounded for you?
I think it's very grounded. This is Judy. I love it.
Okay, good. Then when we get into, and we can get into the Q&As with what you're really feeling, but I was talking to my son today and I was like, okay, Nelson, I'm doing this talk, and what would you suggest? And he said, you need to work with them. So it's like, we can't have these like super high ideals and then like they have a different idea and we can't really meet them. I mean, I think it helps if you start early with nutrition. I've heard it's harder to sort of bring it in later on, but I think you can still be creative. And I think that like the cooking class, if you can get fun cooking things, cookbooks, or like there are podcasts or YouTubes with kids cooking. Like I said, you have the fridge stocked, you have those things stocked. If that's financially challenging, just to keep it again very real, like we do a food co-op here where we got together different people and we go into food shares. So we get big boxes in bulk and we divvy it up so we can save some money. There are creative ways you can grow a garden. You can get them in the garden a little bit, or at least go out to pick the food. Maybe they're like, oh no, I don't want to grow the food, but they'll go out and pick the tomato cherries, or you know what I mean? The cherry tomatoes. There are ways to be creative. And I think we need to draw on community. I think that's another thing. As parents, a lot of things with our teens' health is reflective of our state of being. And I think we do need to learn how to reach out to our support network and our friends and come together. Like it was great when we had our team game nights because we had a potluck where the whole family came together and the parents sort of did their thing and the kids did their things. But we were all together and supporting each other. But with nutrition, I think we want to look for color. We want to look for the whole foods. I mean, I'm probably speaking to the choir, a lot of this, but food goes a long way. My teacher said that he wanted to come up with this amazing herbal formula, and he found that pooping and eliminating and bringing in nutrition solved most of the issues, actually. And then I would say the attitude and emotional health, because depression and stress really do a number on us. So that's why I started with that. So I think having some vital food in there, less packaged food if possible. Beverly was talking about having a good smoothie in the morning. You've got your smoothie. Maybe it's if they really are anti-veg, It's having some green capsules that they're going to take. I do it I actually sell them, but what you can do very inexpensively is you go to something like Pacific Botanicals or Essential Organics. Essential Organics, I think, has one of the best prices. You can get alfalfa, spirulina, chlorella, nettles, dandelion. You get all these greens, and you can throw in some camu camu, acerola, rose hips, some vitamin C rich things. Those are all phytonutrients, all antioxidants, and you can capsulate that. You just buy a capsulator and you can capsulate that and just say, here are your capsules. I mean, it's really all relative, right? It's like, yeah, we could have this perfect, it is great to have organic food, whole food, less packaged food, get in your water. You want, I would say, some fresh whole food that's raw, and then you want your more building food, whether you're vegetarian or not. I think you just need to. I've seen healthy vegetarians, I've seen unhealthy vegetarians, I've seen healthy meat eaters, I've seen healthy not meat eaters. I think really it comes down to you want a lot of vitality, and the more building things are more of a supplement. And you need to check in. It's easy. Food is one of the hardest things to work with because we have so much familiarity, and our celebrations, our family connections, our family history, our traditions are very deeply embedded in food, and our comfort level, and our, if we're comfort food eaters. So I think we can do things where we say, hey, let's take this 2 weeks and try this and see how we feel. Like, again, be a detective, see how you feel when you do different things and make it real. I used to teach 6th and 7th grade, and what I did is I would show them Super Size Me, the documentary. Then I would show the documentary Super Juice Me. And Super Size Me, of course, was all McDonald's. You have the filmmaker Morgan, who he was just giving it a go. He had no hard judgments about what was going to happen. He had everything checked out with his blood pressure and everything. And he got very, very, very sick to the point where his girlfriend thought he was really going to severely hurt himself, right? And when kids see that, it's not a mother nagging. It's actually this outside objective source that they can really see, and it really impacted them. Then when they saw Super Juice Me, and Super Juice Me, there's one man that's on about 50 some different pharmaceuticals. And by the end, he's down to one. And it's just transformative. You see all these people with disease, quote unquote, diseases that we're told that they have no hope. They're going to be on pharmaceuticals the rest of their life. And they just drastically change their life. So I definitely recommend, if you can get your child to sit down for a documentary, it can be more impactful. Maybe you do it in segments. And that, I want to see if I have anything else about food. I think those are the big things. Eating late at night is harder on the digestive tract. It really taxes our pancreas with our enzymes. But again, I think just having healthy food around, and you could cut up carrots and have hummus, or have your veggies, have lots of fruit around, things to make smoothies. We really do. You can do healthy like versions of things that were more unhealthy. Like we do baked yam fries and baked fries, and we just cut up the russet potato and then put olive oil on it and bake them. And they're super yummy. You can, but diet is a big impact on our health. Now you do want to check in about, how their elimination organs are working, and we can get into things like skin in particular, because of course they are concerned about skin. And this goes back to the terrain where, I remember growing up, and I forget what it was called, but I remember using even rubbing alcohol on my face at one point to dry like acne. And so that's a situation where you're looking at this eruptive skin issue and you just want to stop it, right? That's what we're trying to get past, is just stopping the symptom. we have to really reanalyze and see that the symptom is our body attempting to help us. And so this is trying to pull all of that junk out of our body. Our skin is, one of our largest organ. And so it's coming out of our skin, these toxins. And so I'm going to segue into skin, but if we have our foundation of stress covered and then our foundation of nutrition, it shouldn't be that much. We might have some hormonal things going on where we're changing and growing as a teen. But if we do start to see acne, we do want to sort of look at, are we feeling more of a repressed anger? Are we feeling more of a repressed frustration? And help, like maybe they need some more active, sincerely for anger. One of the best things, I don't know if your teens will do this or not, but one of the best things for anger is you literally inhale. With the inhaled breath, you punch. And there were times over the last 3 years, I seriously thought I was going to throw out my elbows, but you just like punch. And then you take another breath, inhale, and then punch. Maybe a punching bag, maybe running, maybe aerobics, but you need to get that movement going to get that whatever is being repressed out, because it's going to come out one way or the other. One way is going to be acne and just that redness. When I think of redness, I do sometimes think of this repression of intensity, right? And we need strong people that have a drive right now. So that's not something to squash, but it's to redirect and get to the root of it. Then you want to look at if it's just more junk food being consumed. And that's where, you want the elimination organs working. So you want to make sure that they're pooping. I mean, just to be super direct, stress can shut things down. It's a constriction. So things like exercising in the side bends, like circular bends, drinking enough water, eating whole foods. Those are all things that are going to help. Sit-ups. But then there are also herbs that can help with movement. The green powders help with movement, like the chlorella, the spirulina, all those things. But movement of the bowel is super important, just to move stuff out. I mean, whether we like it or not, we can be, to a very large extent, aware of our diet, but we are exposed to different environmental toxins, which is a whole nother thing. And so we really all of us want to be evacuating our bowel. And then for acne in particular, segueing into skin, we're looking at nutrition, we're looking at the evacuation of the bowel, we're looking at stress, we're looking at what else? Hormonal things. A great tea to take down, if you want to take this down, is 3 parts of red raspberry leaf and 1 part of blessed thistle. And you could interchange milk thistle for that. That's just going to add a little bit of bitterness to it, but not too much. You can sweeten this, with honey or something like that. I know my herbal teachers, she had daughters, and she had become an herbal teacher. She was a Mormon, actually, and so she had tons of kids. And her younger kids were not exposed to a healthier way of life. And so she could really see this difference in her younger and older kids. But for her older kids, she would always have this tea in the fridge. And she said they did not experience the mood swings as much. They didn't experience the acne as much. I mean, it just really seemed to keep things a little bit more in balance. And the beautiful thing about this is herbs are not, in general, I want to actually go back to this point. In talking about germ theory, we actually see a lot of in functional medicine or naturopathics or holistic, the field, the still concept of working with the germ theory. And that's when we're using herbs, like we're saying that they're antibacterial, antiviral, we're trying to cut out a symptom, we're trying to stop that cough. The joke is that a good herbal cough syrup is going to make you cough more because, and it's a balance, right? You're getting some herbs that are going to help to cough, and then you're going to put some herbs in there that are soothing. So you're going to nurture the whole respiratory tract. So we're not seeing the cough as the sickness. We're seeing the cough as the body's way to bring balance and actually cleanse the body. We're seeing diarrhea as the body ways of bringing cleansing. We're seeing vomiting even in many cases of the body's way. the key is that you don't want to become dehydrated. That's like a big thing. The fever, again, is the body's way of bringing balance and healing. And so it's increasing circulation, it's getting different vitamins and nutrients around, it's cleansing. And so we're wanting to work with those things, not stop those things. And that's very, very important. And we will go more deeply into specifics in the future. If you like what we're talking about tonight, I am going to have other classes online where we actually make things and go more deeply into what historically and traditionally is used to support the body in times of symptoms. But if I can impress anything, it's that these symptoms are our friends, and we just want to be strong enough to be able to work with our body. And we're really developing this robustness. We're developing a robustness of spirit, a robustness of emotions, a robustness of physicality, so that we can go through these things. And then we, in fact, become stronger because it's doing a deep cleanse throughout our system. I think we've sort of covered the skin section. One thing that we can tell our girls is that we don't want to strip the oils, right? A really good balancer for more oily skin is jojoba and tea tree oil. Jojoba will penetrate deeply into the different skin layers. And then the tea tree helps to bring that balance and help, just can help with acne. But we're really, again, always doing it from the inside out. And then this is just an extra bonus. But, things like, I don't want to say like any names, but I grew up with different pads that would sort of take off everything. And we're not looking for that. We're really looking for balance. Another thing is, depression. And I like to say to people, if you haven't been depressed, at least some, or had some grief over the last 3 years, I just think that's a healthy response, because there's a lot to be depressed and feel grief about. I think that the key, again, is not to get lost in that. And so we want to find solutions. We want to acknowledge and not stuff or deny any of the depression or grief that's being felt in ourselves or our children. But we also, we want to realize we want to pull ourselves up. And sometimes we have to fake it till we make it. You know what I mean? And I'm going to get a little teary-eyed, but yeah, sometimes it's really hard. And we just have to, it was really hard when my son was on the computer for 10 hours a day. You know what I mean? And the children were told to be alone. We never did that, actually, but just in general, seeing the children have such grief was really hard. And so that's why we have to pull ourselves up and come together with others and create solutions. And so that's when we did the teen game night, right? And that really changed everything. One boy, not my son, but somebody else who didn't really want to come in the beginning, he told his mom, that was the most important thing that you've done this entire time. So I need to plug in my computer really fast. So just getting that our children might be grumpy to us and act as though they don't want to do something, and then months later come back and say, thank you so much, Mom, for doing that. So it's up to us to have the strength to withstand not being loved in the moment. And one of the best quotes that I ever heard was Irma Bombeck. And she said, I love you so much that it's okay if you do not love me right now. I love you so much that it's okay if you don't love me right now. And I think that's so important as a mother of a teenager, because they can be intense, right? They're going through a lot, and especially in the last 3 years, probably more so than potentially ever before. I don't know, a long time. And so we are a safe place for them to express themselves. So we have to really take responsibility for taking care of our own selves so we can handle that, I think. But for depression, I guess my whole point was, we don't want a silver bullet to take that away. You know what I mean? I think that's the thing with pharmaceuticals, is they wipe out the surface symptom. And even as holistically oriented people, we don't want to just wipe out that symptom. that's where we get into those deeper elements of how do we help our child master something? How do we like support friends coming over here and be welcoming? How do we see what they really love and somehow support that, even if they're super grumpy all the time? And then there are herbs, of course, that you really want to strengthen the nervous system, really. You're not numbing. Think of it as, it was really eye-opening. I have this nutritional herbal book, and oh gosh, I'm just checking out the time. We should wrap it up soon. But it was talking about valerian, and it showed the calcium content in valerian and how calcium really makes up the nerve sheaths. So we're not numbing. I like to think of it as electrical wiring, that we're these electrical beings and we have this conduit throughout our body. And so we're making sure that it's, it's not raw, that it's not, our nerves are strong and robust and can handle things. So things like oat straw, chamomile, horsetail, nettles, these are all teas that can actually build the nervous system. A cold shower, actually, I don't know if you can get your kids to do that. It can be a dare, like jump into a cold pond or lake or a river. But cold is supposed to be a huge stimulus for our parasympathetic nervous system. And it's supposedly said to be better than any counselor or psychotherapist, because it just, again, tonifies our nervous system so that we can handle more. I think getting together like a teen group that like it's a dare and you do that or something like that. Like our kids want a certain level of wildness and they're asking for that, but it can be in safe ways where we can stretch them again through the camping and this natural wildness that is safe, really, but still impacts them in such a way to really fortify them. And then I would say one last thing is service and helping other people is also very good for depression, because it puts them in a leadership role and it helps them see that they're not the only ones in pain and they can step into their power with that. But I think that we could go on for a long time. I think we should probably wrap it up and open up the floor for any questions and answers. Does anybody have any questions you can either come on and speak by raising your hand, or you can just put it in the chat if you want to be more anonymous. Hi, Judy.
Hi, I have a question.
Yes.
First of all, I absolutely love that, and I wish we had more time, and perhaps we'll do a part two. Your manner is just as I know you, and it's so easy and welcoming and comforting, and I love that. I love you so much that you don't have to love me right now. And Beverly loved it too. It's fantastic. Is there a place where we can find your tinctures and herbal concoctions for certain things that you mentioned here? I tried to write them down, but I couldn't get them quick enough. Is there somewhere we could go for your particular take on that?
Yeah, it's Papavari Botanicals. It's I could put it in the chat.
Oh, perfect. That'd be great.
It should be
and if anybody else has questions, just put it in the chat, or you can raise your hand or just speak. Just take yourself off mute. Oh, there it is. papaverabotanicals.com.
Yeah, and I'm always just an email away. If, say, for instance, you don't have the money to spend on a supplement, I can teach you how to make it. And some of our classes in the future will do that too. So you can save hundreds of dollars if you make your own herbs.
Wonderful. And I put your email in the chat, so that's there. And we have a hand up there. Blessings to all. Please join us with your question.
Hey, Blessings, do you have a question? Are you on mute?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm talking to myself. Okay. Thank you. That was very very all-encompassing. I think you mentioned so many things that are so vital to be reminded of. And, younger parents are in a different situation now than I am as an older parent. But it just, some things, they never go out of style, like the cooking, like the board games, the understanding, yes, a fever is a good thing, don't squash it. And I think I would love to have another Zoom where you teach us, sort of basics, or even just emergency basics that, or what do you do when my kid, has flu symptoms, things like that. Or for us as women, what do I do when my eyebrows get thinner?
We could do that. We could have one for moms and one for moms of kids.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that'd be great. Maybe the top 5 things, that parents are dealing with as far as doing, kind of putting together concoctions or remedies or just advice. But that was great, Penelope. And I have to say that I absolutely loved everything you said, that just to remind yourself that you're, that a symptom is a friend, resilience, a lot of it related to as a parent of, you getting triggered and how to hold back those triggers for yourself and your child in different modes that is just so great for me to be reminded about. So I really appreciate that. And I really I thought, oh my gosh, we could have had that for the title of our host series was, I love you so much that you don't have to love me right now. Because I think every parent with a teen can relate to that so much and be like, okay. And it also gives you an answer like, wow, relax. You don't have to be loved right now, because we're as mothers, especially, we're such pleasers that our first instinct is, oh my gosh, this reciprocal love. And then to have all of a sudden to have to deal with that kind of anger, and then being able to just say, hey, I'm going to love you no matter how angry you are at me. So because we all know they put their anger on us because we'll take it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really appreciate the talk and just to, even though I know you as a person and we've talked many times as a friend, it was good to hear a lot of these things that I hadn't heard from you and just ideas. So thank you.
Thanks, Bev. Going off of what you said, you're my high bar because you care so much about the teen's perspective. And, I once remember this woman, Mary, she was talking about freedom and children. And she said, they don't always know what is actually free for them. And that did impact me. You know what I mean? And it's such an art, which I definitely haven't honed completely, but I'm trying, I think I'm trying to know when to stretch and give that space. I mean, my son's 19, so it's very different. He's much older now, but when to give that space and when to say, no, and be okay with their grumpiness if they don't like that. No, you know what I mean? And that it's part of their growth curve to push back a little bit. Just by me not saying yes to everything, I could be hurting them by saying yes. It's like, you can do whatever you want. That's not really helping them. That helped me to hear that. Anybody else? It's so nice to see you all. I hope that it gave you something. And yeah, I guess, is that it? No more questions.
Any other questions? We'd love to hear them. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I'm thinking of what you're saying, and what you're saying, although totally germane to adolescents and teens in our life, it's a good way to live your life as an adult in your workplace, to anyone. And perhaps that's why our teens and adolescents are here, to help us reflect back to us how we can be, better people anyways. There may be some more questions, but I'm going to break in here right now just to say, we love having these parent teacher speaker series. We love Penelope. It's a joy to work with Beverly and Penelope and Deb. And we have our next speaker series on April 4th. Can you believe it's April? Happy first day of spring. It's pouring down rain here. But Sebastian Steinbach is going to be with us with Teens, Screens, and the Wild Heart Kids Club. So please join us. They're all recorded. We love having you. We love questions. Please let your friends and other parents and teachers know about this. Share the link. Call us anytime. And please have some more questions before we leave. Anybody?
It's nice seeing you, Maria. I'm glad to see your face, Maria. How was it for you? I'm curious.
You're on mute. There you go.
Yeah. No, it's wonderful. I mean, I don't have my own kids, but I do work with kids, and actually, nutrition is what I'm trying to bring in more so that we can now work anxiety issues and depression issues with bringing some more nutrition. Actually, I started studying about it to be able to do that, and it's wonderful to hear how important it is. And it's not about the big things. Now sometimes it's small things, and the approach with the teens is different. Though I'm in a little bit privileged place, because it's different to be the mother saying that than somebody else saying that. Now I'm a therapist, so I work in that level with kids and with teens. I think they're a little bit more open to listen to some things if I say them. It is good too. Like, I mean, it's not. But I love you, and I also loved the part that you say, it's okay that if you don't love me, I love you so much. It's okay if you don't love me. That's that was beautiful. That was
You might really like that those documentaries I talked about.
I know. Actually, I didn't have to write them down. I would like to write them down. See, thank you for reminding, because whatever I don't write down, then I forget. Can you say them again?
So the first one was Super Size Me.
Super Size Me.
Can you put in the chat, Penelope?
Yeah. And the second one is Super Juice Me. And
I can do it, Penelope.
okay, you can find them free versions if you type up, I don't know if it's YouTube, but you can find them free online, actually.
Super Size Me and Super Juice Me.
And I think the Super Size Me did a second one too. So there are two of those.
And there's another good one is May I Be Frank, if anybody's heard about that. It was done in conjunction with Cafe Gratitude, and the gentleman's name was Frank. And they put him on this wonderful journey of cleansing, and it was an incredible story. So it's called May I Be Frank, Super Juice Me.
Oh, that's great. I'll have to watch that one.
Oh, it's wonderful. I know him, actually, Frank.
I'm glad. Thank you. And Maria, were you here last time with Dr. Edith? I thought I recognized you. I'm really happy. Tell your friends, we really wanted to make it accessible for everybody. There's no charge, and just like we want people to be able to come.
Yeah. I will. I'm yes. Now at this moment, I'm also like a little bit. I'm happy to be here, but I will let them know. I don't know if there is an aspect. I don't have so many friends with kids at this moment. I work with people with kids. I don't have like so many, but
it's just great having you. It's wonderful to see you again. I'm glad you came on at the end.
Yes, I hope to be here in everyone, because I'm interested a lot, and it's my field too.
And Maria, if I can add to that, it's not so much who you are, a parent, a mom, an aunt, an uncle. It's about the kids who trust you and who take information from you. My kids would always say, oh, yeah, mom. But if they heard something from another adult that they valued, and they said the same thing I said, they took it from that person. I said, but I said that. Oh, yeah, and then they don't even know that I said it. So thank you. I think it's so valuable. So thank you for being here.
And it's about authenticity, as Penelope said earlier, that our teens and adolescents can feel that. They're very sensitive to energies and frequencies, and how people's inner truth and how it matches with their outer truth. So thank you, Penelope, for sharing that about authenticity with our teens.
Teens, kids, and all kids, after all. Yeah.
Well, it's great to be here. It was really wonderful seeing everybody.
Judy, how are we going to get the links for this as far as a video link?
I'm sorry?
Is there a video link that's going to be passed out from this recording, or?
Well, what we'll be doing is the video link is for the people that have bought the package. And so unless you could just, and so we're going to send that out at the end, all the videos, plus 5 or 8 more videos that we've done at another time, plus PDFs from every speaker. That was part of the package. And if someone would, I put my email in the chat earlier, you just contact me and I will send you the link to this. It takes a little while because I know the editor, and sometimes that editor takes a little while. So Deb knows who that editor is too. It's me. So I'm going to do my best to have it done soon. So just contact me, and we'd love to share what Penelope's wisdom is, and we hope there's more from her too. So thank you. We know there's more, but whether or not we were able to bring it to you, we hope to.
Can I say something that is a little bit more personal, though, in terms of, because I'm having a book launch this Sunday, and I'm doing a Kickstarter for a children's book that for me, and I'm bringing it in because it's designed to be a book for them to connect with their joy a lot, and with the things that bring them joy, and with creativity. It's all about creativity. So
do you have something you can share? We can put it on the screen right away here, Maria.
Go see about it, because it's a process that we have worked the last 3 years, and it's been designed to open up to the child's world and create that space of connecting and letting them express their thoughts and feelings, but in their own playful way. That it's not just about, it's just a different way of saying things, and which I see it every day. And it's been a process that we have worked many women, and now it's coming to life. And I have been going self-publishing. I didn't go to a publisher traditional because I wanted to have, I want kids to be drawing on the book. It's storybook and workbook at the same time.
Isn't that beautiful?
You know, we really want to develop a network of people. And so it'd be good, perhaps we could have this in there somehow.
So resources or something.
Yes. Yeah.
We could put it into, when we send out, I don't know. Yeah, definitely.
And we can help promote it on the newsletter. Send me the
information. Amazing.
And your workshops, we can promote your workshops and everything. So you just need to reach out to us so we have all of your information. Well, I guess we have that, but anything else you want to say about it? And then as we compile, this is just growing right now, but as we compile some kind of a way to capture all of everybody, we can have it in there.
That would be wonderful. That would be wonderful. Yes. Yeah. Thank you. So,
and Maria, you speak Spanish, correct?
Yes, I speak Spanish. Well, I speak Greek too.
Okay. Because I was just thinking how, there is this, a whole Hispanic community that would want some parent, we'll have to talk about with you and maybe see about you doing something, or even your own speak in English about what you're doing with your books and how you teach. So we could talk to you about that.
Yeah. I would be more than happy to. Yes, that would be amazing. Thank you, because I'm launching now on the March 26th. We're having the book.
Oh, that's a couple days from now. Wonderful.
Yeah,
you must be so excited.
And we're starting the Kickstarter. If they approve it, it will be launching also that same day. And it's, at this moment, so any support, thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's like more, I'm already working, and actually it's interesting because it's a children's book, but I worked it with adolescents. And it's been amazing. The most thing that they told me is that it inspires them. And for me, that is the most important, because they're at that age where they're asking themselves what they do. And it's an age that you can be a little bit disappointed of life, almost like adolescents, like what is true, what is not, what do I want to do? And to hear from them say that it inspires them and it gives them hope for the future and for the possibilities, that's for me okay.
Well, if there's no further questions, I want to thank our wonderful speaker, and it's such a joy to know you and to work with you, Penelope, and Beverly and Deb, with the teen group from Children's Health Defense California. Information about our next talk on April 4th, Sebastian, And anybody else before we say goodbye?
I just wanted to say thank you, Penelope. That was wonderful.
Thank you,
Really
Deb.
great. Really great.
Right here now.